share one to join the group.
Okay.
There you go. Go. What it do? What it do?
What up, boys?
What's going on?
Look at that. We have Clint already here. Look at that, Clint.
How's it going, everybody?
How's it going? Good, brother. How are you, Clint?
Great. It's great to be here.
So,
Good to
Clint,
have you, my friend.
he said, "Good to have you."
No, I'm sorry.
You're
I'm sorry,
working
guys.
too hard,
I'm
drinking
building
too
the
much
wall
already.
right now.
So, disclaimer, Clint. Disclaimer. We are very chill and lax. So, if you hear a few cuss words, don't take offense or try not.
No, none here. None here.
So, hey, also before we get on to stuff, man, I just wanted you to see I'm running a mock setup for you, man. You know, I have your stuff down there at the bottom and your
Yeah, that looks
logo up
awesome.
there in the
Thank
top right
you.
corner. So, yeah, I just wanted to do that, kind of see what it would show you what it would look like.
Yeah, thank you. That looks great.
Yeah, man. Dr. Dre, how was your day? I know you're still working, aren't you?
I am still working. Cat scales above apparently are the most expensive things on planet Earth.
$200.
$200. But I had a great day today, man. I booked in one of my biggest international contracts, Israel down to Memphis, Tennessee. So that was a really big win for us over here, Fred Mango and myself, especially working on some really good stuff over here, man. It's been a hectic week, you know, good and bad, but it's better than having nothing else to do. So no complaints on my end.
What about you, Chad? What's new in your day?
Oh, baby. Today was a good day. Why? Because I took the day off. By that, I mean I worked from the wonderful cell phone here, answered emails all day. I delegated to my team, let them handle all the operations. I walked the sales, trying to quote the stuff. But today was a day from just, man, enjoying myself and my wife. I don't get them often. It's been months since I've gotten to do that. So I went ahead. Our PTO policy is use it or lose it. And so today I used it just because it was there. And, man, I miss my wife. So
use it or lose it, man.
That's it.
That applies to a lot of things in life, does it?
Yeah.
Amen to that.
Yeah.
Oh, man. So, I don't know. My day was pretty uneventful, man. I mean, I just regular old freight broker day and trucking day, man. That's about all it was. Nothing spectacular in my world, which, you know, sometimes that's a good thing to have stuff, you know, be uneventful in this friggin' industry. So before we get on to chatting with Clint here about factoring and financing or finances, and Clint, dude, I am so psyched to have you on the show. Like you have no idea. I'm going to blast this thing all over I can and promote it so people watch it afterwards, which we usually get a ton of views afterwards. But man, I know the information you're about to drop is just going to be so invaluable to these carriers and maybe even us, man, you know, because brokers factor too, man. And, you know, finance is everywhere in this industry. So,
yeah,
but
I'm so excited. I appreciate it. I'm really excited.
Our honor, Clint, our honor.
Sounds like you got some good stuff going on there, Mr. Clint.
Yeah, we hope so. Yeah.
And if I could just throw it out there for the brokers, for the mostly for the carriers out there right now, if you're watching this, if you like what he says, if you don't like what he says, or if you don't know what he's saying, right below, as I can watch it scroll across my screen, it's scrolling across yours. So there's his information, and please reach out to Clint.
Yeah, absolutely. Love to talk about it. So anytime.
Look at this party we got going on here.
Oh, man.
Nicholas. No, man. So, hey, before we get too much into this, I just want to go over our quick little news topic today, and then we can move on. Y'all know I like to try to touch on some kind of information, that I found that I think is pertinent to everybody in our industry. So,
Please do.
and as y'all know, as I said before, my people are come on. My people are Commercial Carrier Journal. I know a lot of people like FreightWaves, and I look at their stuff too, but Commercial Carrier Journal, I know two of the people that write for them. Bob Rutherford is one of them, amazing guy. Put out some really good stuff that you don't see anywhere else. So what this is just like the title says, it's talking about, how insurance has been impacted by the rates and the freight cycles right now currently in the market that we've been dealing with, I guess you could say, for the past few years. The article isn't much. It's there's a video to it that's, I think it's 8 minutes long, and it's really worth going and looking at. But the key summary of the video is basically talking about how insurance costs, like everything else in the industry right now, they've risen a lot, and that it comes from a lot of factors. Some of it has to do with you personally as the carrier with the policy, and just like with regular automotive policies, it also has to do with the other people that are insured by the company and the mistakes that they make. They give a few hints or a few tips, in the video about mistakes to try to avoid, when you're a rookie carrier, really minding your safety protocols, making sure you're getting good inspections and you're not getting tickets and such, because all of those things as a carrier, impact what your insurance rate is going to be. And it also speaks about tips to help you get a better insurance rate, and things like that are, and as much as I know people hate them, that's cameras, and that's dual facing cameras, both, outside of the truck and inside of the cab. And I will just say, as someone who has been a transportation manager that has viewed this footage, you cannot live stream in a truck. Like that conspiracy drives me crazy, man. So, but things like that, even as a small carrier, having a safety plan put together, even if it's just you're an owner operator and you do everything yourself, having a safety plan in place. And even though these insurance companies don't ask for it, submitting that and showing, hey, I've got a program for myself. These are the things I do to not only keep myself safe, but other people on the road. And, making sure, having proper logs and, keeping your log violations and stuff down. Because a lot of insurance companies, or I'm going to say a lot, I've heard of some insurance companies now requesting if they can see some of your logs to make sure that you're not going into violation and driving outside of hours of service, things like that. And then finally in the video, the guy talks about, ways to approach insurance companies, tell them straight up, hey, this is the rate that I'm trying to be at, or these are the coverages that I need, give them as much information as you can so they can help you the best they can. And a lot of carriers, they just call and say, hey, I need an insurance rate, give the only information that the company asked for, and then that's what they go with. So, really do your due diligence when it comes to insurance. I will say that myself operating as a carrier, we started out, I have to look, but we started out with Progressive, and I'll end with something on them in a minute. We started with Progressive paying a ridiculous amount of money. And right now, actually, I'll tell you what it is. Right now, our insurance is $1,430 a month, and we've gotten down from like $2,000. So, maybe some of y'all got good and better rates, but I really think that $1,430 is a pretty darn good rate to have. So, do your due diligence in that. I'll end on this, and I'm only saying this because I actually have this situation going on currently. If you are a carrier that deals with Progressive or gets quotes from Progressive, man, do not do it. Do not go with them. I just had a claim denied today by Progressive because they say we didn't give them enough proof of what happened, and which is totally ridiculous. I mean, we have all the proof that you could ever ask for when we submitted this claim, and they still denied it. And I mean, it was for a high-end produce company, and this company is going to be out, I want to say $20,000, something like that, for like not even half a truckload. So pretty big deal. I have told my boss, dude, blacklist Progressive. I don't want any carrier on my freight that uses them. They're trash. They're trash for cars. They're trash for carriers. They're trash for everything. I don't want my freight being ran under a Progressive policy. There are a lot of brokers that are also following suit. So I implore you to move away from them or not do business with them. And that's it. Insurance, it sucks, but you got to have it. And, do your due diligence and do all the things that you can and get all the tips and tricks that you can to help keep your rates down. It is doable. It's hard starting out, but, by the time you're in it for a year, you should have enough data and time on your MC for yourself to really knock that insurance rate down. So bada bing, bada boom. There we go.
Absolutely. Just to hit on Progressive again, they have Progressive is for the brokers out there, carriers out there. This doesn't help you either. They have a non-cooperational policy for all carriers, all commercial carriers, and so and what that means is simply this. And please don't use it, carriers, if you have Progressive. If I'm a broker, if you're a broker and you're submitting a claim with Progressive, and the carrier just simply doesn't want to respond to their emails, Progressive will deny the claim. So that is one main reason there's a increase in brokers that will not work with the Progressive carrier or Progressive insured carrier. And so, just there's options out there. If you don't know the gentleman on here know plenty of options for your insurance needs. And so, two things: stay away from Progressive, stay away from insurance providers unregulated by the DOI, and it'll be a whirlwind down the line for you when you need them.
Sweetness. I love it. Good little chitty chat on the insurance insight. Yeah, you like that? I got the Rizons, fool. Oh man,
Stick to logistics, bud.
Bro, believe it or not, man, when I was a teenager, man, me and a buddy of mine had a little group together, man, and we were real close to signing a minor contract, bro. We were called Criminal Minds, and we were, dude, I'm for real. We were 15, 16 years old. I could put my wife in here right now, man. Like when our town was small and the group I hung out with, bro, this white boy here, I used to trash everybody in freestyle. No, I'm serious. Nobody.
That's awesome.
But anyway, let's move on to Mr. Clint. I love you, Chadley. Don't make me put your shitty yard back up as my background, Mr.
Do it. Dude, that thing is beautiful for North Carolina. It's 110 degrees here. Put it up. Green brown, as long as the grass is there, I'm proud of it.
You're something else, man. Oh, bro. All right, so we are going to chat with Clint here and Nicholas, who doesn't want to show us his pretty face. Clint owns and operates Shoreline Capital. They are a small factoring company, but they are in it for the bang, man. They are trying to make a huge impact. And I have talked to Clint and Nick in Linked about a week ago to get some insight on them. And I will tell you guys, if every factoring company thought the way that Clint thinks and had the knowledge and background that Clint has, then you think things could really change. We talk about changes that need to happen in this industry a lot, and the financial side of it is a side I don't think people really look at except for, the bills and stuff. So, Clint, I'm going to turn it over to you. And if you want to pull up your website or whatever you want me to, so we can put it on screen, I can do that. Just let me know.
Okay. Awesome. Well, again, appreciate that and appreciate that introduction, Rob. Certainly there are other companies out there that are doing this, but we really have tried to set ourselves apart. I've been doing some things on social media lately, and there, in my mind, there's kind of the big boy factoring companies, and we all know who they are. And then, there's a company like ours that's a smaller family-owned factoring company. And I know sometimes factoring has kind of a negative connotation, or factoring companies. Nick was, on some social media boards the other day, and there was a post from a trucker that said, "Do not use factoring companies." And then he kind of went on to explain his experience at one of the big boys. And the really sad thing that I think there are many, many good players in our industry when it comes to factoring. I really believe that there are companies like ours trying to do the right thing, trying to help carriers. And then there are others that, yeah, they're taking advantage of carriers. They're charging ridiculous rates. They don't care about the service or the customer experience. And so, yeah, there are those. And unfortunately, sometimes those larger big boy shops, they have the volume of customers. And so then because they've got the volume of customers and those customers are having poor experiences and they share that on social media, then it sounds like, well, everybody that every factoring company is awful. So it is hard in that way sometimes to overcome that hurdle. And then secondly, to compete. And so that was, one of the reasons that I really was excited to start Sureline. Just as a quick background on myself, I'm born and raised in Utah. Sureline Capital's here in Utah. We're proud of that. We love that fact. But I spent nearly 25 years in banking, and most of that in commercial banking. I worked for a bank here in Utah that does factoring for transportation primarily, asset-based lending. And so I love kind of being able to take the things that I've learned and experienced in banking and then apply that now into Sureline, into our family-owned factoring company. And I think, one of the things that Rob, you were touching on with the Progressive insurance issue, I think a lot of times it comes down to a relationship, right? You don't have a relationship with anybody at Progressive. You might initially, whoever sells you your policy, but then after that, you get thrown into this vast kind of pool or ocean, and you're one tiny little fish in this massive pond, if you will. And so you're kind of just treated as a number. And for us, I never envisioned that Sureline will ever be one of the big boys. I don't want that because I love the personal relationship that I have with my carriers. They're calling me and telling me about their kids' games on the weekend, or they're calling and texting me saying, hey, my truck broke down. I had one carrier call me out and sent me about 5 or 6 pictures and said, you'll never guess what just happened. I just had a turkey come flying through my windshield and, just crazy stuff.
I believe it. I know what happened.
But I love that relationship aspect. And I love that carriers text me. I love that carriers call me. And so I always hope that Sureline remains a smaller family-owned company that gives that personal service. And then secondly, our focus really is to help carriers kind of move to the next step. I view factoring as an interim working capital tool. We all know that factoring can be a little more expensive than traditional bank financing, but that's where I hope my banking background can come into play. And I really want to work in a consultative role with carriers to kind of help get them ready for that next level. Because banks, they're not going to work with startups. They're not going to work with poor credit. And banks are going to want 2 to 3 years of profitable operating history before you can go get a traditional bank line of credit. And so I believe that there's a time and a place for factoring, but it doesn't have to be continual. And so for us, that's our hope is we're going to be a great partner. We're going to use our experience and our team's experience to kind of help get them ready. Say, hey, here's what banks are looking for. Here's some of the metrics that they're measuring on your financial statements, and to be able to help get them to that next phase. But then the second thing is, I would say, is really just working with them on being a good steward. I'm not, and I shared this with Rob earlier, I'm not of the mindset, I'm a capitalist. We're all in this because we're business entrepreneurs, so we do want to make profit. But I don't think ever making profit at the expense of bleeding, the last drop out of a turnip, so to speak. When I hear factoring companies that are charging 5, 6, 7, 8%, it just makes me sick. At Sureline Capital, we're between 2 and 2.25, 2.5, depending on some of the factors that go into it. But again, we're entrepreneurs. We're there to make money just like everybody. That's why we went into business. But I feel like there's an ethical, responsible way to go about it. And so that's just my approach at it. That anybody charging more, I'm not saying they're being unethical, but for me, I'm more interested in building a long-term relationship with a carrier or their fleet and helping them get level than just trying to do what's best for Sureline. I don't like that approach, and we'll never take that approach.
And man, Clint, that is why I honestly like you already, man. in this industry, and I know all of us on here and all the people that will watch, and I mean everybody knows, like you said, man, it is. Well, I don't think you said this exactly, but the financial side of this it can be very predatory. These is someone who has dealt with factoring both as a broker and a carrier, man. I could tell you some of the stuff that we deal with out there is just ridiculous, man. The percentages, they're all pretty much same across the board. The lowest I've ever seen is 1.75, and that's someone that's been with a place for years and years, and they got a good steady stream of profit. But us personally, man, we're at 2.75%, where we're at. And honestly, they've got us like hook, line, and sinker, man. We've tried to escape from them, and they're a big name, like getting big. And it's honestly, they're a big name in another part of this industry, and you would never think that they do factoring, but they do. But we've tried to leave them several times, and it's kind of like what you said, Chad, about the communication. Like, they just don't communicate at all with the other factoring company, man. They email and email and email, and Clint, when you go to factoring company, they ask you for your list of accounts or something like that, whatever it is. They ask for a printout of all of your stuff and your contracts so they can buy you out if you need to. And man, like they just don't answer it. So we're stuck with who we're factoring right now, and we're still trying to move. That's one of the reasons I want you, Clint, why I really want to talk to you about it, because I think maybe you'll be a little bit more pushy and be like, don't make me fly out here from Utah.
yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's right.
So I will say, I am looking to move our carrier business over to Shoreline Capital. I just need to set up a meeting with our owner. So let that guys tell you something, that the short time that I've known Clint and the research that I've done into his company, I really see the benefit in him. Clint, do y'all do factoring for brokerages?
Yeah, we do. That's there's a little bit of an added layer of risk whenever you're working with a broker, because now we're talking about shippers, and sometimes that's a little harder to get some information on, or maybe a better way to say it is it's a little harder to work directly with shippers and their accounts payable than it is maybe a freight broker.
Yeah.
Having said that, the only other caveat that can be a little tricky is, we're paying the carrier. And so Shoreline is taking the approach. And again, I feel like just being transparent up front. I don't like games. I don't like some of the factoring practices that I've heard others do, where they'll kind of bait and switch, and they'll say one thing and then do something else. And so with Shoreline, if we're going to factor for a freight broker, we want to make sure that we're paying that carrier for them. And we feel like that does two things. One, it protects the freight broker, and two, it protects Shoreline, because we know that carrier's been paid. And now we've taken the credit risk, and the broker will get paid once the shipper pays. And so we do work with freight brokers, but we want to make sure that we control the payment to the carrier, so that, again, protects everybody kind of throughout the process.
Perfect.
Hey, Dr. Dre, do you handle any factoring, or do you know anything about factoring at all over there? I mean, or do you know if Mango?
So today with our international stuff, so being 7 containers from Israel to Memphis, that's going to be roughly about a little, I don't want to put any numbers out there, but around like $32,000 total cost on our end. So obviously that's a big chunk when there's 7 containers moving at one time. So I did have a conversation with my customer today where, we have to pay these steamship lines up front for these movements on most ends, and customs and insurance, and there's a lot of factors in there. So discussing with my customer, we have a few options that we can work with, either ACH, you can send me your credit card. We have a pay later date, but all that comes with different fees. And so yeah, the factoring, it's here and there, depends on. So this particular customer is actually a trucking company that opened a brokerage, but they've had so much business coming through that a factoring company is their main, source for getting payments out.
Yeah.
And being that, our authority is only, I guess, almost 3 months old.
Oh yeah,
coming up coming up in September. So
y'all are definitely using some factoring services, bro. No.
oh, dude, no, we can't even get approved, man. We're having to go ACH.
Really?
But
That's a struggle though too, man. Just like Clint said, just with like the new carriers, the new brokers, man. That's another way they're predatory, Clint. Like I know you know that they get these new MCs just like the insurance company. You know what? Now that I think about it, I think they all have like dinner together and they're like, how can we screw this industry over on these new carriers?
Oh, we're talking about high rates, man. I mean, like, what is the average percentage that a factoring company takes?
About 2.5.
Yeah. Great.
What's that for new carriers though? Is that the same across the board?
Well, Clint, go ahead.
Yeah, that's a great question. So it really does vary. I would say you're seeing in the market right now anywhere between 2, maybe there's still factoring companies that are getting 5%. But I would say Rob hit it on the nail. 2.5 to 3 seems to kind of be the average. New carriers don't really. There's not a higher percentage, or at least at Shoreline, we're not charging different based on the newness of the MC for the carrier, because the credit decision is all being driven off the freight broker. And so we'll work with brand new authorities on the carrier side, but on a freight broker, rates will typically be higher from a factoring standpoint because there's more monitoring, there's more risk involved. And then there's kind of more operations because now with the factoring, I'm just paying the carrier, but now with the broker, I've got kind of 3 players: the shipper, the freight broker, and the carrier. So there is a little more manual work, and rates typically go up. And then the second thing where you'll see a difference with freight brokers in terms of factoring differences between freight brokers and carriers will be the advance rate. Carriers are anywhere from 90%, most likely 95 to 97% on an advance rate for carriers. But for freight brokers, you're probably closer to 85, maybe 90, but it does depend on the spread, because what factoring companies don't want to do is factor more than what your spread is going to be on that. So if you're, maybe a 10% margin on your deals, then a factoring company may come in and say, okay, you're paying the carrier 90% there, therefore we'll give you an 85% advance rate. So there's a little cushion there to help with any issues that may arise. But yeah, I would say a really average rate is kind of between 2.5 and 3. And again, we're between 2 and 2.5. So we're lower than what the general is.
Look at that. Boy.
A question I'd have, and I'm sure, it's a question I've heard often. In my career, I have been, a dispatcher, a manager, owner, an operator, very shortly. So from the owner perspective, dealing with factoring. One thing I heard you say that I absolutely love, I also on the side I do run a consultation business where I help startups. Oh yeah. I help individuals start up their own little or their own company, their own transportation company. And usually the first year of that always has factoring involved. And so in my business model, the factoring, as you wonderfully put, is a short-term tool to use rather than a long-term model to use in your own business. And if I ask if any of this question or any other question is asking you to reveal business secrets that is something someone should be paying for, please let me know. If you're listening here,
oh, you're good. We're an open book.
Question, he says no. All the number at the bottom of the screen. All right.
Yeah.
I try to provide my clients with tools, with budgetary tools and finance tools. What tools do you guys help your clients with? What tools do you guys provide, or consultation services do you guys provide to ensure that after, hopefully my goal is always 12 months, that after that, whatever your goal may be, your timeline may be, these guys are operating self-sufficiently after that timeline?
Yeah, it's a great question, and it's one that I think would depend widely based on the truckers' goals and some of the disciplines that they have. And I would say uh, the first thing, and I kind of touched on this earlier, as you mentioned, Chad. I always tell my carriers, and in fact, I had one of them call me the other day and said, "Hey, I want you to look at my financials. We want to look at maybe go getting another truck, and I want to see what you think and what a bank might be looking at, and tell me." So that's the first thing is I think being able to take my banking background. There are some that are in this industry that maybe come at it from a trucking standpoint, and while I have that experience, I think I'm more on the financial side of the business, but getting to be able to help carriers say, "Hey, let's get your financials in good working order and condition. Make sure you've got a good software, you've got a good program, you've hired a good either a CPA or somebody that is really good on your books, so that you can make sure you've got the clean data that banks are going to need." So I would say that's the first thing is acting in that consultative role to be able to say, "Hey, I'm here and I, free of charge. You send me your financials, or if you want to sit down and say, I think I'm ready for that next step. What should that look like for me?" Then I'm going to be there and say, "Yeah, let's get you to that next step." I know it maybe sounds counterintuitive, but I hope that our carriers and our customers are not factoring for their whole duration, because they could be using capital more effectively in a cost-effective way for them. So that's the first role, is just kind of using my background into that. And then we've got other partnerships and tools that we try to implement. Nick has been great at bringing on some partnerships that do offer insurance, and a couple of other that are in dispatching. And so we try to be able to, even for the brand new carriers, because we have so many brand new carriers that just start and they're kind of like, "Hey, Clint, I got my authority. I'm ready to factor." I'm like, "Great. Do you have a load?" And they go, "No. Where do I go?" And we've got a load board partnership. We've got dispatching partnerships. We've just added a fuel card that's a big deal for our carriers right now. And so being able to take those tools and then bring in some other pieces like the insurance. And then I've got some contacts for equipment loans and a couple of others that are like, "Hey, I'm looking for a new truck." While we don't do that, we want to be able to say, "Hey, here's somebody that we work with or that we know, we feel like we can trust." And so you can trust them and call and get a quote from them. And so I think being able to come at this at a multifaceted approach, not just, myopic on the factoring and that's all we do. I want to be able to say, "No, let's look at your financials. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about ways that you can be more effective with your cash flow." And so, yeah, I think all of those things together are tools we try to bring in that will help a carrier maybe get to that next level or get ready for that next level.
Wonderful. Now, are these tools that you speak of, you hit on insurance and dispatching services. Are these all services the Shoreline provides, or are these partnerships that you guys have that is simply just a benefit of working with Shoreline?
Yeah, it's truly just a partnership, and for I would say 90% of them, we're not getting anything. We're not trying to do anything. We do have a couple of partnerships, of course, that we have struck that are strategic, but for the most part, like with our dispatchers, we have 3 or 4, and we like to share those with our carriers and say, "Hey, here are 3 or 4 great dispatchers that you can work with," and so they can go out and find the person that works best for them. But our hope is that it's a reciprocal relationship. But they're not part of the Shoreline family. They're not our a subsidiary or related to us in any way. They're just like-minded individuals in the industry that our hope is we can help them and help our carriers work with good people. And in like manner, as they come across maybe somebody like a dispatcher, they're working with somebody and they say, "Gosh, I hate my factoring company," and they can say, "Hey, here's somebody that we really like." And we've also struck partnerships with some particular dispatchers or other companies that say, by virtue of your partnership, you can get discounted factoring. And so maybe, our standard rate, maybe, 2.25 or something. If they come through some of our partnerships, like a dispatcher or a couple of others that we've got, then they could get 2% on their factoring. And so our hope is that we're building value for that other company, because they can say, by virtue of my relationship with XYZ, I'm getting some additional value over here that turns into real savings through discounted factoring with Shoreline. And so, yeah, it's really intended. My hope is to build a nice network of other like-minded companies that want to serve the small carrier, and that we can hopefully provide mutually beneficial services to everybody in the circle.
I love it. I love the business model. I love that you guys are focused on the small carriers, not just the big ones. And everything you just spoke about it is truly needed to be able to move America in today's supply chain. So I appreciate the services you provide and the focus that you guys have at Shoreline, and of course appreciate you being here with us today.
Thank you very much.
I want to bring this up, and before we get to this comment here, so one thing that I haven't heard Clint mention, which was like probably one of the top 3 things, maybe even the top thing that really pulled me into his little universe, is when we were talking, Clint, and you said that your goal, or one of your goals, is to not have you factor a person's finances forever, that like you want them to be successful and teach them how to have working capital on their own, and how their flow of accounts and net terms on payments and stuff work. And man, I think that is honestly, for lack of any other word, just really a beautiful thing, and just very, as Chad said, another thing is very much needed. And as we said, dude, your banking background is really what I think makes you a really powerful tool. A lot of these factoring company people, half these folks have been trained on the job the way that they want, that the company wants them trained. They're pre-programmed to say and do whatever the company says, and most of them don't have a background in banking or anything. So I think that is really a great thing, and you don't have to speak on it, but I want to bring that up because
thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah, man. It really shows the stature of your character, man. It truly does, in my opinion.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, we want to help people, and that was one of the main reasons I got into this. I want to help people. Of course, we're a business, and again, we're all entrepreneurs. But yeah, I'd much rather give up something on the Shoreline side and help somebody be successful than, again, just to try to get what's best for Shoreline or maximize Shoreline's profits. And who cares what happens to anybody along the way? I don't like that approach.
Yeah, I love it, man. And Clint, I think you could see this, but someone is asking, how they would go about, partnerships through you with insurance. So if you want to touch on that real quick for them.
Yeah, thanks for that question. We'd love to open up our insurance partnerships. So if you visit ShorelineCapital.com, you can see some of our partnerships, but there's also a contact us link that you can submit your information there, or you can just email me directly. My email is kind of scrolling across the bottom. It would just be clint@ShorelineCapital.com. And you can reach out to me and send me your contact information, set up a call, and would love to be able to do that. We had a carrier just the other day that called me up and said, man, Clint, this is killing me. My insurance is due in October. And if I can't find cheaper insurance, I don't know if I'm going to be around. Things are just tough. And the rates per mile are tough and everything else. And so we've gotten him in touch with one or two of our partners that we work with. And they're trying to get him quotes to try to bring that down. I think he's with Progressive, Rob, so maybe but the idea there is, again, I want to find a way to help them be successful and save them money every chance, because I'm a small business, they're a small business, and so I totally understand that making sure you're watching expenses. So anyway, for the user that submitted that, yeah, please just email me, clint@ShorelineCapital.com. Would love to visit.
Yeah, that's Karen. She is someone else we are going to have on the show as well. And she also has a follow-up comment, but I want to answer this one. Karen, the only factoring company Shoreline recommends is Shoreline. I mean, come on now. We don't recommend anybody else.
Like walking to McDonald's and saying, where can I get a good burger?
There you go. Shoreline Capital, Karen. if you want to go back and watch the show, you can see the mountain of compliments that I have given this guy. And I know Chad, from what he's heard, I mean, we've been talking in our private chat about you, Clint. All bad things, all bad things.
Good, yeah, good. I hope never good. Never good.
Shoreline Capital. That's who he recommends. That's who I recommend. Like I said, I truly want to switch over from where we're at, which is a big factoring company, one of the predatory ones, and move over to Shoreline. Karen is just hitting it up tonight. Send him. She said, "Send him to me." I think Karen, do you do insurance? Is that what you do? Maybe that's why she asked Clint.
Yeah.
She said, "Send it to me. I'll get him work on his down payment."
Great. Yeah. Here, send me your information. We'd love to send him your way.
Yeah, Karen. He gave out his email, and boom, yes, look at that. Look at that. So sweet, Karen. Clint gave his email, so hit him up, or I'm sure him or Nicholas gets the sales at Shoreline Capital emails as well.
Yeah.
And get with him and see what y'all can work out. I'm sure Clint would like to have some more tools in his arsenal, or more weapons in his arsenal. So that is fantastic. And your thing won't pull up, Karen, but yeah, KarenandKing.com. I've already researched her. It looks like she's got some good things going on. Her and I are going to have a chat. So, Clint, I'll give you some feedback on whether she's good people.
Okay.
Essentially, you swipe left, you just swipe right, whatever you want.
Yeah. Right. Yes. So before we try to or before we wrap everything up. Yep. Nick, even though we can't see your beautiful face, we want to hear your beautiful voice. Y'all don't know, but Nick is my fellow soulless ginger. So he has light red hair and a beard just like me, man. And you know, gingers, we just connect somehow. So Nick, you want to? There he is. Look at that beautiful beard, bro. Look at that.
Okay.
You want to? How you doing tonight, Nick?
Not too bad at all. Not too bad at all. I mean, I'm loving the show. It's been quite the experience. I was trying to hype Clint up all day today. He's been, nervous about it, and I told him, if I get the opportunity to show my mug on there, I will for him. So that way, take him away from that a little bit. But no, it's been a good day.
We listened to Eye of the Tiger like on repeat for like 3 hours today.
I love it.
Now I got to go watch Rocky to like clear.
Oh my gosh, dude, that's funny you say that, because I will hear a song that I know is from a movie, and then I do it. I will go and watch the movie. I'm like, oh man, totally. I forgot about that. It's awesome. Nick, do you have anything that you want to add, man? To everything anything that's Clint said?
I mean, it's kind of hard to talk Clint. This is his foundation here and his whole creation. So kind of just as you and I spoke before, just kind of living through his models and really making sure that the business operates the way that it needs to, and through the beliefs. It's funny that Clint was talking about the whole family side of it, and really looking out for folks. And we actually just had an instance this evening, a couple hours ago. Spoke with a potential client, and he's looking to purchase a house. He's got a 12-month plan to purchase a house, and he was talking about rates and everything. And we went and cut a little bit deeper than what we would normally on our rate to make sure that he can meet his goal. Even if he doesn't partner with us, we're still going to help him financially with goal setting and things like that. So it's another little area of the tools that we bring. Chad was asking about the tools, and we provide any and all help that we can. It doesn't matter, if you reach out with a question, we're going to answer it.
Man, I love it, man. I do. Like, everything that you guys say is just it really is incredible. And I'll tell you that having you guys on here is really one of the purposes that Hunter and I, one of the purposes / ideas that Hunter and I had when we started this show was to really highlight things like you guys, companies that are in this business that actually give a shit about other people in this business. Because I'll tell you, I mean, if we all know, logistics is always cutthroat. It always has been. It's always going to be. Price is always king. I don't care what anybody says, whether it's the carrier's price, the shipper's price, or the factoring company's price. You know, that's just the way it is. And we really truly are on a mission to try to, you know, drive traffic and highlight people like y'all, you know, like I said, and people like Karen. And I have a guy that he designed a transportation management system, Henry. He's going to come on next week and talk to us. He's a small company, and just like you, Clint, like he's out there to help these carriers and brokers and shippers, you know, to offer a platform, a software, a tool that truly allows them to utilize, you know, and find a way to get all of the tools that they need and that they don't even know that they're missing. And I think that's also something you guys have truly highlighted here, that, you know, you're not just about factoring. Like, I don't want to just help you, you know, keep your capital flowing and keep a little money and keep money in your bank. That, you know, you guys have a mission in this to make the people that you do business with better at the end of the day. And I really think that is, man, that's just an incredible thing, bro. It really is, Clint. Like, yo, you, I mean, I'm sure you already are, but you and Nick, you should be proud of yourselves, man, for thinking like that and putting together a business model that thinks about others and others' well-being, and realizes, because this is something, and I say this all the time, that my dad taught me, and is also a reason I love my boss, that the measure of your success can be measured in the success of the others that you help around you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, you know, it's not, it's great if you're a success, but if you're not passing on the things that you've learned to the others in a similar situation to you, then, you know, it's helping nobody. And I'll bring that point into another phrase that my dad has, is what good is it to have knowledge if you don't share it? You know what I mean? Like, you can have all the wisdom in the world, but if you don't spread it around, it's of use to nobody but you. And then in essence, it's of use to nobody. So
couldn't agree more. Very, very well said.
Yeah, I appreciate it, man. And you guys are amazing. And Clint, like I said, I want to have you back on a lot more, man. We can
please do. We'd love to. Yeah, we'd love to.
We could just repeat everything that you have said on this show every single time. And I mean, I'm serious, because you so well articulated it, and the information I feel is valuable, man. And like I told you, I will say that this so far is the second best show we've had. And the only reason I say the other one is better is because it was about mental health in the industry. And I think mental health kind of, that just tops everything, man. So,
I totally agree.
Yeah. I really loved it, Clint, man. I loved having you guys on.
Yeah, it means so much that you guys have us on here and give us a platform just to share a little bit of our story. And yeah, we'd come back anytime. I love to talk factoring, and I think there, you know, you touched on it a little bit, Rob, but I think there are some other things that we could touch on that would help carriers even evaluate their current factoring, you know, and talking about advance rates and recourse versus non-recourse, and you know, pricing and you know, just some of the service expectations. And Nick and I are seeing so many complaints about one large big boy factoring company in particular right now, about people staying on the phone for an hour just to get in touch with somebody, and being told they're going to get their funds next day, and it's been 5 days and they still haven't gotten it. And just anyway, I think there are still some wonderful things that I'd love to just, again, be a resource to your listeners and to anybody who, you know, finds this, to be able to say, hey, here's some things that you'll want to think about if you're entering into a new factoring relationship, or if you're looking at getting a new one, you're tired of the one that you have and you're looking to, you know, here's some things to consider and to think about. And so, yeah, I'd love to talk about it and help in any way. Absolutely. Thank you again for having us on.
Awesome, man. No, you're so very welcome. And I look forward to the partnership, man. You know, not just here on the show, but, you know, in the group, you and I on a personal level. Chad is privately talked. I'm sorry, Chad, will share his stuff that, you know, he thinks that he may share you with some of his people, man, that he really loves.
That means the world to us, Chad. Thank you.
And you know, and
sorry, go ahead, finish up.
No, go ahead, Chad. Go ahead, bro. Go ahead.
I was going to say, so, you know, FMCSA would tell you that most of our supply chain, most of our transportation domestically are moved by carriers with 18 months or less authority. They're startups. And to start up a transportation company, you need a truck, you need a trailer. To get that stuff, you need capital. In today's world, the average Joe doesn't have the capital that it takes to start up a transportation company. They have to have a partner like Shoreline in their corner. And so, when looking at the big boys, it's that you guys are absolutely right. They take advantage of the small carriers that can't afford to be taken advantage of, especially in today's market. So, myself as a logistician, myself as a citizen of this country that benefits, as a family that benefits from the supply chain, from the food I ate to the clothes on my back, I appreciate a company and a business model such as Shoreline and yourself that focuses on the little guys and makes it possible for them to do a job we all need. So from the bottom of my heart and at least my family's heart, we appreciate your model.
No, that means a lot to me. Thank you. Yeah, I really appreciate that. And again, just terminology between quick pays and factoring and direct pay and 30-day pay and all that stuff. I think it'd be so awesome. And so I really appreciate you giving us a chance to talk about that. And thanks for sharing that, Chad. That means a lot.
Yeah, Chad. Yeah, Chad. Take your lips off his butt. No.
My butt is huge. Exactly right.
Oh man, no, I'm playing. No, everything he said is so true. I can second that, and I'm sure Hunter thirds it. So, but we're about to wrap up. Clint, I mean, again, dude, thank you so much, and I truly want to have you on, man. Let's cover some different topics, like you said, recourse, versus non-recourse and stuff like that, how funding is truly supposed to happen and some other things, man. Man, I look really forward to talking to you a lot more. And Nick, although you're frozen, it's a beautiful shot. It's a beautiful shot. But we can't wait to have you guys back on. And thank you for giving us a piece of your evening, gentlemen. We truly
thank you as well.
And I really,
for any of your listeners, if you have those questions and you don't want to wait obviously until next time or whenever that may be, please always feel free to reach out to me. Even if you're just like, hey Clint, I've got this question about factoring and I'm with somebody else, I would answer that call 1,000 times a day and just help and be a resource. So whether you're a customer of Shoreline or not, please call me. Love to talk, answer questions, give you insights, thoughts, ideas, and be there. So anyway, for what that's worth, any of your listeners, if you don't want to wait till next time, please reach out. Love to talk.
And again, reminder, if you're asking, scrolling across the bottom of this screen, it's right there for you.
Yep.
And well, I guess with that said, Clint, stay on with us for a second. We're going to get here and just chit chat for a minute. We always do kind of a little wrap up for a few minutes after the show, and and then I'll let you go enjoy the rest of your night. As I always like to say, chunk the deuces, and we are out.
Island.